exactly. So let's find our comfortable seated option. Feeling our spine grow tall, our shoulders, hips relax. Let's pick up our lungs as we inhale. Shoulders, hips relax as we exhale. Taking a moment to pull in some long, deep breaths and release through our shoulders, our hips. With our spine lifted up to the sky, let's slide an ear to the shoulder and give the side of the neck to stretch open. Then as we reach tall, let's release over towards the other side just for a moment. Let the shoulder blades rest. And then as we come to the center, flowing our shoulders up and down just a few times. With our shoulders resting, let's inhale and draw fingertips to the sky. As we exhale, resting thumbs down to the heart. Inhaling as we lengthen. Exhaling as we lower. Feeling one more breath, reaching tall. And relaxing down. With our hands rested, let's relax the shoulders, picking up the lungs as we inhale. Keeping the heart open, let's exhale to a diagonal, thinking about the back of the tailbone, the top of the head, stretching away from each other. We can stay here as we are ready, maybe lengthening on the inhales and resting the ribs towards the ground as we exhale. We're feeling just a few restful breaths. With our next inhale, we'll send our spine tall, stretching one arm up towards the sky, drawing it overhead and letting our side ribs open. Finding neutral, reaching the other arm up to the sky and then stretching it over. Feeling neutral, inhaling both arms up to the sky. Exhaling as we twist, lifting on the inhale, twisting through the exhale. Feeling neutral, inhaling, reaching up, and exhaling towards the other side. Come back to the center, reaching tall, and relax, thumbs to the heart. Now we can keep our legs as they are. If it feels okay, you're welcome to trade out the crisscross if that's where our legs are at the moment. Returning our hands where it's comfortable, pushing the shoulder blades back, lifting the collarbone up, and feel that lift in the lungs. Let our exhale bring us into a diagonal line, stretching through the back of the head, the back of the hips. Again, we can stay here. You can rest the fingertips, maybe inhaling the heart forward and exhaling our ribs towards our thighs. And feel just a moment of peace and rest through our breath. Sending our spine up tall, we'll stretch the ribs up to the sky, and then exhale, thumbs to the heart. Moving our bodies to all fours. Sliding our wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, lower belly finds our neutral spine. Letting the inhale press the heart open as we find cow pose. Exhaling ribs up to the sky as we find cat. And let our body flow as we breathe. Inhaling, opening. Exhaling, folding, stretching through our breath. We're welcome to keep the movement flowing up and down. We can feel neutral and start folding side to side, shoulders towards the hip on one side, shoulders towards the hip on the other side, stretching side to side. As we feel our bodies back into neutral, pull the lower belly in for support as we extend the right heel out. Pull the lower belly in and stretch the left fingertips forward, keeping the length through our spine, or maybe finding a diagonal and reaching back to neutral, just a little stretch and release. Any range of motion, any pace of movement. We can move just the arm or just the leg, that feels better. As our bodies return to neutral, stretching out our spine. Resting down, let's trade. Extending through the left heel, lift through that rib cage for support and stretch the right fingertips forward, feeling stable. Option to be centered or feel that openness on the inhale as the arm and the leg reach out and back in, or just the arm or just the leg. Our bodies get to choose where you feel good stretch state. And then as we find our way back to neutral, let's rest. Taking just a moment in child's pose to release our shoulders, to relax our rib cage, our shoulders, the ribs, the lower back. And then fingers can stay stretching towards the top of the mat, or arms can reach to the left, widening our side body. Finding neutral and then maybe over towards the other side. Finding neutral, relaxing in stillness, or lifting up to downward dog. Sending our tailbone up towards the sky with bent knees or straight legs. Finding length and release, or moving our legs, pushing one thigh forward, pushing the other thigh back. Finding any stretch that we're feeling pretty good about at the moment. And anytime we're ready, our feet stretch up towards our hands, feeling rest in our body's forward fold. Fingertips can be on the ground, maybe a soft bend in the knees. We can send fingertips up to the shin or the thighs, wherever our body feels stable. Enjoying stillness and rest, or allowing our head and neck to flow a little up and down. Maybe a little flow side to side, maybe a little up and down again. Let's inhale just halfway, planting through our heels, inhaling all the way, heart towards the sky, and then stretching one arm a bit taller, the other arm a bit taller, reaching through our side body. As we find a little bit of evenness, our fingertips reach to the sky, pick up the lower belly, and maybe open our lungs towards the ceiling. So we exhale, send the tailbone back, ribs towards halfway. Inhaling, lifting the heart towards the sky. Exhaling, hinging halfway. So we can keep soft bend in the knees. You can deeply bend the knees in our airplane, kind of choosing where our body feels the most stable at the moment. The next time we find our airplane positioning, lower back, lower belly, feel stability as the back of the head, the back of the hips pull away from each other. We're continuing to push the tailbone back as our knees bend, allowing our ribs to relax on top of the thighs, and our fingertips can either rest towards the ground, or we can stack the forearms and find a dangling forward fold as our elbows and shoulders relax with gravity. Our lower back is supported on our thighs as we feel a little release through the spine. Anytime we're ready, sending the right knee back behind us, relaxing the back knee and toe. Arms on either side of the front leg, or maybe we choose the inside. Feeling our inhale, stretch our hips and heart forward. Feeling our exhale, relaxing our hips and thighs back. And we'll welcome the flow with the breath. Inhaling towards the lunge, exhaling towards the half pyramid, feeling any movement pattern that works the best today as we stretch through our breath. We can keep the movement flowing. We can find a place of stillness, continuing with a tall spine, or maybe feeling a little fold as our ribs, shoulders, head and neck find rest with gravity. The next inhale sends our heart towards the front of the mat, and releasing back into our body's child's pose. Feeling a moment of rest and peace and stillness, or option to inhale towards a kneeling plank, stabilizing our spine tall. Maybe exhaling, elbows into the ribs. Inhaling, the lungs lift. Exhaling, our hips relax. Feeling just a moment to breathe, resting through our exhales. As we're ready, guiding our right toes into our lunge, wherever our bodies feel pretty stable at the moment. Heel releasing under the hip, arms where we feel good, and then we'll inhale our heart towards the front of the mat, exhaling our hips back, and enjoying any range of motion, any pace of movement, or choosing stillness is always a great option. Wherever we're feeling our best stretch today, releasing through our body's exhales. And maybe our body keeps flowing, or we enjoy a place of stillness, keeping a tall spine, or softly resting our heart towards our thighs, and breathe. Our next inhale sends our heart forward, guiding our back toes towards our front toes, finding rest in our body's forward fold. Feeling inhale, halfway up. Pull through the lower belly, and then inhaling all the way up, fingertips to the sky. Let's add a little twisting, sliding one arm forward, the other arm back. Inhaling tall, exhaling towards the other side. creating length, creating rotation as we stretch and relax through our breath. Maybe one more in each direction. And anytime we feel a little evenness, sending our ribs up to the sky, and then exhale, find a chair. Pull the lower belly in, reaching the back of the tailbone through the back of the head, the back of the fingertips, and then slowly pulling the belly button towards the thighs, fingertips to the floor, and sending our left toes back behind us. Back knee can be lifted or lowered, enjoying stillness or twisting towards the front thigh, and breathe. Returning to child's pose or downward dog, anywhere we're feeling stable at the moment. Hanging out or inhaling, finding plank or kneeling plank to stay. Have an option to exhale with control, elbows towards the ribs. Inhaling, lungs lifting. Exhaling, hips back. Feeling our body's breath, relaxing through our exhales. Sending those left toes into our lunge, heel releasing under the knee. Enjoying our lunge of choice, or maybe twisting towards the front thigh. And then returning child's pose or downward dog. Taking just a moment to breathe in stillness. And anytime we're ready, if we're feeling like a three-legged dog, we can travel the right toes up to the sky. And then helping our right foot find its way into our lunge. As we open to our warrior two, our back heel ground sideways, our fingertips stretch towards our feet and our shoulders hang out over our hips. Now we're going to lift up our toes, feeling the ball of the front foot pushing forward, the pinky toe side of the back foot pushing back, and then the inner heels pulling in towards the midline of the body, feeling stability through the lower legs. Then we're going to activate the front thigh and hip, thinking about the inner thigh pulling the front leg towards straight, and the outer hip sliding that front knee towards our heel. Choosing our body's range of motion, our body's pace of movement that really trying to activate through the thigh and the hip, and keeping stability through the body, keeping our joints stable as we breathe. Now the next time our front leg finds its straight point, try not to lock out the joint, but stabilize through the muscles. Peel up the lower belly and start to twist. Ribs towards one side, ribs towards the other side, and create any range of motion, any pace of movement here as we breathe. As we return to the long side of the mat, feel the ribs lifting on the inhale, and then sliding our shoulders towards one leg, lifting in the center and sliding the shoulders towards the other leg. Feel that lift through the ribs, the stability through the spine, guiding us with control as we reach through our side body. As we feel a little evenness in our movements, sliding our hands to our hips, so we're feeling that pelvic bowl resting and reaching the hips up to the sky, and then pulling that pelvic bowl towards the front leg. We'll do that a few times, lifting that pelvic bowl up to the sky and then stretching it towards the straight leg. Still keeping the stability in the heels as we find this hinging factor through our side body. Now the next time we feel the hip hinge towards the front leg, thinking about making a diagonal line from that back pinky toe up through the hips and the ribs, reaching through the top of the head, picking up the lower belly as we inhale, and then think about reaching the top of the head towards the front toe. And then as we feel pretty stable, lifting through the rib cage, maybe that bottom back of the hand pushes into the inner calf or thigh. And then the back hand has the option to stretch up towards the sky, finding our most stable variation of the triangle today, and breathe. Let's feel the inner thighs engage as we bend that front knee back into our lunge, returning into any twist of our choice towards the front leg. And then relaxing, maybe child's pose, maybe downward dog, wherever our bodies feel pretty stable at the moment, enjoying stillness. Maybe we feel like a plank or kneeling plank to hang out in. Option to lower with control, elbows to the ribs, inhaling, lungs lifting, exhaling, hips resting. Just a moment to breathe, finding our body's restful breath. If we're feeling like that three-legged dog, our left toe can travel up to the sky and our left foot can find its way into our lunge, opening into our body's warrior two, and stacking our shoulders, reaching through the fingers. Activate the feet without grounding the toes, but feeling those sides of our feet engage. You'll feel the lower legs engage, and we'll start to activate the front thigh and hip, pulling the front leg towards straight, squeezing the outer hip towards the heel, activating through our thigh and our hip as we breathe. Now with our leg reaching towards straight, again, still trying not to lock out our joints, but squeezing through the thighs to keep it stable. Let's add our twist, reaching ribs to one side, reaching ribs to the other side as we lift through the lower belly to feel strength through our movements. And then as we reach the long side of the mat, our shoulders and ribs begin to stretch to one side, lift the ribs, shoulders, ribs. Reach to the other side and feel that stable hinging side to side. Keep breathing. As the next time we stretch up to the sky, we'll send our hands to our hips and find that pelvic bowl, feeling that hip bowl lift up to the sky and then reach it towards the front leg. Returning it to neutral and then hinging it forward. We feel just that lift through the ribs, reach through the hips. Keep breathing. Now the next time we reach towards the front leg, taking a moment to feel that diagonal line from the heel through the top of the head, and then maybe pick up the hips and reach the top of the head further forward. Maybe we find a little movement, maybe we don't. So we find stability. The back of the hand feels the calf or thigh, and the top arm finds reach towards the sky. Let's deepen the bend in the front knee, returning to our body's lunge and maybe twisting towards the front thigh. As we relax, returning to child's pose, downward dog, anywhere, we're feeling pretty stable. Maybe we're inhaling, finding reach through plank or kneeling plank to stay. Maybe we exhale, elbows to ribs, inhale the heart open, and exhale our hips back. Noticing a moment to breathe. And then if we like that three-legged dog, we can lengthen out the right toes and help the right heel find its way forward into our lunge. Guiding our back heel in until the sole of the foot feels the ground. We can stay where we've landed if we know we like a little wider stance for balance and stability. Guiding our pinky toes towards the sides of the mat and walking up our front leg whenever we're ready. As we find length in both legs, just checking out our balance, noticing how we're feeling. And then with our spine growing tall in the inhale, let's guide shoulders towards the hips on one side. Finding length and reaching our shoulders towards the hips on the other side. Finding length and feeling that reach side to side, resting through our breath. As we feel a little evenness, our shoulders relax, inner thighs, lower belly engage. We're inhaling and puffing out the chest, lifting the heart to the sky. We're going to try to keep the chest puffed out as we notice our hips hinging towards the front leg. Pick up that lower belly and pull the heart back up towards the sky, and then Keeping the chest puffed out as we hinge towards that front leg, maybe just a couple more times. Creating deep expansion, creating deep release. Just maybe one more breath. Now as our bodies stretch forward, we're going to think about the lower belly picking up, pushing our hips back, helping our top of the head reach forward. Now maybe we've come more towards a parallel position. Continuing here with our hands on the hips. As the lower belly kicks in, we can rest fingertips on the thigh. We're not trying to push weight in the leg. Or the fingertips can rest on the shin, or the fingertips, if available, can relax towards the ground. So wherever we're at, we can keep the spine in that parallel position we've created, or you can continue to sink and rest, or allow the shoulders, ribs, lower back to fold and release. Take a moment to breathe. You can still feel the lower belly lifting to support the lower back in any variation of this pyramid folding posture. Breathe. And then as we feel a deeper bend in our front knee, if our fingertips weren't on the ground, we're going to try to rest the fingertips maybe closer towards the shoulders. So we have the option to start moving the leg. Maybe the front toe lifts to the sky, maybe the back heel lifts to the sky. We can always return hands to hips if that feels like a better option than fingertips towards the ground. And we're feeling that rest through our breath. And then as we find a place of stillness with our feet, front knee can be bent or straight, back knee can be up or down, having the option to twist towards the front thigh and lift into our lungs. As we're ready to relax, fingertips to the ground, find that deep bend in the front knee as both feet travel back to child's pose or downward dog to stay. Option to inhale through plank or kneeling plank to stay. Option to lower with control. Inhale the heart open and exhale the hips back, feeling just a moment to breathe. Creating rest with our exhales. And anytime we're ready, if you'd like that three-legged dog, stretching left toes up to the sky, sending left heel underneath the left knee, finding our pyramid position with the back heel grounding, maybe widening our feet, and walking up the front leg, stretching both legs towards straight as we test into our balance, readjusting as we needed for stability. And then with our hands on the hips, pegging up the ribs, feeling the shoulders stretch towards the hips on one side, lifting tall, and then reaching over towards the other side, lifting tall and finding that side folding action as we breathe. As we feel a little evenness in our movements, picking up the hips and pulling the heart up to the sky. As we exhale, feeling that pelvic bowl drawing towards the front leg, and then inhaling, deep expansion, exhaling, deep release. We're feeling any range of motion, any pace of movement. As we keep engaging that lower belly, we feel support in our lower back, even with the folding action, just going where our body's allowed today. Now the next time our belly finds its reach forward, we're going to have the option to stretch the hips back and the top of the head forward, reaching our ribs maybe a little closer towards a parallel. As that lower belly kicks in, the thighs engage. Fingertips can rest on the thigh. Fingertips can rest on the shin or the floor, still using the abdominals and thighs for strength. They can keep more length in our spine, or our bodies can fold with gravity, resting where we're feeling our of a stretch at the moment. Breathe. And then again, with a deeper bend in the knee, finding that space, and maybe our hands rest under the shoulders to where we can maybe lift up the front toes and the back heel. Hands can always have the option to hang out on the hips instead of fingertips to the floor. That feels like more stability for our bodies. fingertips rest. The front leg can be bent or straight. The back knee can be up or down. Picking up the lower belly, maybe twisting towards the front leg and opening up our chest to the side body. And then anytime we're ready, deepening the bend in the front knee as our palms feel the ground. Returning feet to child's pose or downward dog, enjoying a moment of stillness. Maybe we're inhaling through plank or kneeling plank to stay. Maybe exhaling elbows to the ribs, inhaling the heart open and exhaling our hips back. Finding a few resting breaths. Now I have a few options here. You're welcome to continue in our child's pose. We are welcome to continue in our downward dog. Or from a downward dog option, as we lift through the lower belly, we're going to have the option to walk the feet in a couple of inches, beginning to narrow our feet up towards our hands. Anytime our body feels like movement, we can send our feet towards our hands with as much control as available. You don't have to make a slow movement. You can just send it up at any pace you feel like. And then our fingertips or palms may stay on the ground. Fingertips may stay on the ground, or it might feel better to do hands on shins or thighs. Feeling rest and peace in any variation of the standing forward fold our bodies agree with at the moment. Maybe feeling that lower belly reach up to the lower back and the ribs relax towards the thighs, feeling gravitational release. It's maybe our head and neck, flow of it up and down, maybe just a bit side to side, maybe just a bit up and down again. Feeling our inhale stretches halfway. Grounding our heels, let's inhale and slowly pull the heart up towards the sky and release the arms. Option to sway a bit, shoulders, ribs, lower back, finding a moment to breathe. Now as we are ready, we'll find a place for balancing, planting through one foot. The other thigh can be forward or open as we reach into our tree of choice, squeezing in and lifting up as we ground into our palms. Maybe finding that focal point with our toes on the ground or floating. Our foot can feel our calf, or we can help the heel to the inner thigh, grounding and keeping our palms at the heart or resting, or reaching or extending towards the sky and rest through our breath. Resting when we're ready, releasing out our joints. Let's trade legs. The other foot feels the ground. Thigh engaged, knee joint softens. The other thigh is forward or open. Reaching in, lifting up, grounding our palms, finding our focal point, toes staying or floating, foot resting into the calf or helping it into the inner thigh, keeping palms at the heart or releasing or extending or stretching tall. And we're feeling pretty stable at the moment, resting through our breath. Move into our body's warrior three, letting the other foot feel the ground, the other toe extend back, squeezing in and up, Any arm positioning, maybe palms at the heart or the hips, or flowing the arms out to the side or towards the sky. As our front foot takes on more weight, maybe we just float up the back toe or actively lengthen through the back heel, through the back of the head. Staying more of a diagonal, or flow lifting through the lower belly and hinging, reaching towards parallel. That feels like a good option today. And breathe. Finding length when we're ready, shaking out those joints. Returning to the other foot, letting the other leg we just stood on reach back. Finding any arm positioning that we feel stable with. Front foot can take on the weight as the back toe floats, or we can actively extend through the back of the heel, the back of the head. Keeping the diagonal line or lifting through that lower belly to support us as we draw towards parallel. Lengthening and breathing. Finding reach through the breath. Relaxation. Let's release out our joints. Feeling reach up to the front of the mat, opening our lungs through our inhales, deep swan dive. As we exhale, sliding the right knee back behind us. And then feeling our ribs stretching forward, sinking our hips back just for a moment. And then trading legs. Left foot comes back, right foot comes forward, pulling our hips open, relaxing our hips back. And then feeling both knees fold into child's pose. Resting here, just a couple of breaths. As we're ready, feeling length in our spine as our legs reach out ahead of us, rolling on our hips just a bit side to side as we breathe. And with our spine tall, our shoulders resting, feeling one outer hip opening, sliding that foot in anywhere we're feeling pretty good, releasing our fingertips, inhaling our heart to the sky to stay, maybe exhaling in towards a diagonal, maybe hinging and resting as deep as we feel like releasing today. Continuing to lift through the lower belly and relax. We can even practice opening the heart to the toes and resting heart to the thighs as we breathe. Picking up our lungs as we inhale, shoulders resting. We'll straight out our legs. The knee lengthens. The other leg outer hip opens and pulls the foot inside the leg. Sending our spine to the sky as we inhale. Hinging softly as we exhale. Staying or feeling the lungs lifting, the heart releasing. Maybe even stretching the collarbone to the toes. Lift that lower belly and send that rib cage maybe a little deeper towards the thighs. And just noticing how our breath allows our bodies to release today. Some days we get more movement, some days we don't. We're just noticing the stretch that our bodies feel the best about. And our next inhale reaches our spine up tall, shoulders relaxed, sending the soles of the feet towards each other, finding our body's butterfly. We can stay tall and lifted, we can rock a bit side to side, rolling on our hips. We can fly our butterfly wings in stillness, get a little release. Then as our shoulders relax, maybe inhaling and pushing the heart to the sky. Option to stay here. With the chest puffed out, feel the lower belly lift and then the heart reaching towards our toes. We can stay more of this diagonal line, or we can keep opening the heart on the inhale and reaching our heart towards the toes through our exhale. We may have no movement. That tall spine might feel the best option today. We might have nose to the ground, wherever feeling our best stretch. And then release through our exhales. as our spine grows tall, sliding our legs wide into this wide-legged seated option straddle, and feel the lungs lift up to the sky on the inhale, and then turn the rib cage towards one leg. Feeling the ribs lift up to the sky as we inhale. Feel the ribs stretch towards the thigh on the exhale. And again, we can continue at more of a diagonal line. We can inhale the heart to the toes and exhale the ribs, maybe a little softer to the thighs, letting gravity relax the shoulders, the ribs, the lower back, and breathe. With our spine growing tall, sending the ribs to the other leg, pushing the heart up to the sky on the inhale, reaching the heart forward towards that straight leg as we exhale, staying more in a diagonal line, or maybe inhaling heart to the toes and exhaling heart to the thighs, finding rest and release wherever our bodies guide us today as we breathe. That tall spine again, resting our palms on our thighs, and just roll those femurs a few times, those big, long bones in our thighs. And then as our thighs rest, tailbone rest, we're sending our spine tall, shoulders release. So we can stay, palms on thighs, we can return the hands to that pelvic bowl, and think about the ribs, the hips, the heart reaching tall, and then feel that pelvic bowl travel into a diagonal line. And we can stay there, or you can inhale, return the heart to the sky, and exhale, hinge forward. Maybe a couple of moving breaths, lengthening and reaching, lengthening and reaching. Now, as we feel the diagonal again, may we hang out, hands on hips, hands on thighs, fingertips or palms or elbows on the floor, wherever our body is feeling the most stable at the moment. Enjoying rest and release with our ribs, shoulders, head and neck relaxing, or maybe lifting the heart forward on the inhale and resting the ribs towards the ground on the exhale. Just wherever our body's guiding us at the moment, finding peace through each exhale and just noticing where the breath guides us today. Each exhale, feeling a little bit more peace traveling through the body, through our breath. Our next inhale, we'll send our spine up to the sky and wiggle those big toes together, rolling on our tailbone. Just a little release here as we breathe. And then we'll all make a soft bend in the knees, shoulder blades relax. Squeezing the heart up to the sky, we can stay chest open. If it feels okay, maybe resting the ribs towards the thighs, and our fingers can rest on the ground, shoulders relaxing with gravity. Maybe we stay here, or we can inhale heart to the toes and maybe slide one heel out a little bit further, the other heel out a little bit further, and then resting the ribs back towards the thighs. Staying here or moving as long as our bodies feel like reaching further through the stretch, whatever is feeling like a good option at the moment, and breathe. Our next inhale sends our spine tall and our shoulders relax. Our feet travel to the front of our mats, making some space to find rest behind us. Picking up the lower belly, lengthening our spine as we hold on. If you'd rather reach out, we're controlling that release of our spine towards the ground. Shoulders finding rest. Arms can relax by the side or stretch over our head as our legs extend towards the foot of the mat. Feeling reach through the spine, the back of the head, through the back of the heels, and then resting. Enjoying release through the elbows, the shoulders, the ribs, the hips, the legs. Taking just a moment to breathe. We're always welcome to hang out in any restful position that we find feels good at the moment.
Whenever we're ready, if you'd like to bend the knees, we can slide the heels underneath the knees and feel that lower back, the tailbone, the ribs, all resting into the ground. Having the option to stay here or reaching into bridge pose, wiggling our fingers towards the heels, grounding the shoulder blades a little closer together. As our forearms and our feet feel the earth, we can squeeze the thighs and hips up to the sky and open through our front side body. Noticing the strength of the back of the thighs, pushing the hips up to the sky and the lower belly, opening up the lungs. Any variation of bridge pose you're feeling good about as we stretch the front side body and strengthen those muscles we've been stretching with each fold. Just gives a little bit of an opposite of what we've been working on today, and we relax through the breath. Anytime we're ready, our tailbone can return to the ground, and maybe the right ankle stacks above the knee, and we have an option to just relax the legs as they are. So the lower back presses into the ground, maybe pulling the thighs to the chest to stay, or you can roll back and forth. You can choose. If the chest is resting at the thigh, we can send both hands towards that bottom thigh, and each exhale can hug those thighs towards the chest a little further. Anywhere you're feeling pretty good, option to relax through our exhales, letting our bodies feel rest and peace through our breath. This side's feeling pretty awesome, we'll just continue. Or if we like to trade sides, allowing the heels to rest and sending the other ankle above the knee, keeping our feet on the ground, hugging the thighs to the chest, or moving the thighs, whichever works better for our bodies at this moment today. And feel a few releasing exhales, allowing peace through the body with each breath. Noticing relaxation through each exhale. Anytime we feel a little bit of evenness, resting both thighs straight towards our chest, releasing our spine in stillness, or maybe adding just a little rocking movement, side to side, releasing through our tailbones, the lower back, the ribs, the shoulders as we breathe. As our heels feel the ground and our forearms plant into the earth, squeeze through the lower belly and pick up the hips, traveling our hips towards the right side of the mat and allowing the knees to fall towards the left side of the mat, gazing away from our bent knees and noticing the body. If we're feeling a lot of extra sensations in that top hip, lower back region, we can send the top knee further up to the sky and release those sensations. If we're not feeling many sensations, you can slide the hand to the thigh and pull the thighs deeper to the ground. It will intensify the stretch, so our bodies get to choose the best option for today. Feeling release through the hips, the shoulders, relaxation through the ribs, the neck, and feel peace through each breath. welcome to continue on this side. Anytime we're ready, traveling our knees back towards the ceiling and our tailbone rest in stillness on the ground, feeling that neutral spine. As we're ready to trade sides, we can plant through the heels and lift the tailbone, sliding the hips towards the left side of the mat, and then letting the knees fall towards the right side of the mat. Feeling our body for a moment. Checking in with the outer hip to see if we might need to lift that top knee further up to the sky, or if it feels better to ground the thighs closer towards the floor. Feeling peace and rest through our hip, our thighs, our lower back, the shoulders, the neck. Continuing to feel rest and release as we breathe, just wherever our bodies are feeling our most stable, releasing stretch at the moment. Relaxing through our exhales. Moving our knees back to neutral, maybe returning the thighs into the chest as we feel grounding in our spine. Maybe continuing to be stable on the ground or rocking a bit side to side, whichever option feels the best at the moment. We can stay knees to chest with our knees and thighs bent, or we can extend the heels up to the sky, hugging those straight legs in towards the torso and breathing through that release in the tailbone, lower back, the ribs. We're welcome to continue here. We can lengthen our heels over our knees, over our hips, and our legs up the wall. Hands can stay on our thighs or ground by our side and breathe. We're welcome to continue our legs up the wall, or as that lower back pushes into the ground and the forearms press into the ground, we can lower the heels a couple of inches. Maybe exhaling down a couple more inches. Noticing that place that we can lower that continues to keep the lower back supporting our spine. As we feel the lower back begin to lift, let's slide our feet wide, finding part mat, part floor. As we maybe add some windshield wipering movements, traveling the thighs towards one side, traveling thighs towards the other side, and feeling rest and peace through the tailbone, through the lower back, through the ribs, through the shoulders, and rest for our breath. Our bodies are welcome to continue these windshield wipering movements. Maybe our body's craving an extra release in a stretch that I haven't cued today, that your body just wants an extra stretch in. You're welcome to choose any option of movement that our bodies are craving at the moment. Anytime that our bodies are ready for stillness, we're welcome to keep the feet wide and feel the thighs and knees rest together with the tailbone and the lower back feeling peace on the ground. If you'd like a little extra passive hip release today, we can send the soles of the feet together and relax the thighs and hips open into any variation of a reclined butterfly. If our bodies are feeling more like a traditional final relaxation, we can extend the heels towards the foot of the mat, opening our feet, our legs, our palms, our arms, checking in with our spine as we notice relaxation through our shoulders, our head, and our neck. As we're ready, traveling in those long, deep breaths from the nose to the base of the belly. Releasing out those long, deep breaths out of our belly, back out of our nose. Feeling that deep inhalation, feeling that deep exhalation. We're welcome to continue any restful breathing pattern that feels the best today. Maybe we travel the breath into the toes and start to inhale through the whole front side of the body, from the toes all the way through the top of the head. Allowing our exhale to release through the backside body, releasing down through the heels. And as we inhale, maybe we notice the breath pulling any extra sensations out of the body. And as we exhale, noticing the breath pressing those extra sensations into the ground, leaving them there to have more space to pull in some calming, peaceful, relaxing inhales, and to release out anything you just don't need at the moment to feel peace, to feel more calm, to feel more rest through each breath. Continuing these long, expanding breaths, we're beginning to travel our breath into our fingers and our toes. Welcoming release in our hands and our feet, maybe adding a little bit of movement in the body at any time we're ready. Drawing our breath towards the wrists, the ankles, feeling that release as we breathe into our lower legs, our lower arms. Relaxing through the knees, through the elbows, releasing through our thighs, into our hips. Relaxing through our upper arms, into our shoulders. Drawing our breath into our spine, releasing through our tailbone, relaxing into our lower back. Releasing through our ribs, our shoulder blades, relaxing the back of the neck and the head. We're welcome to continue as we are. Maybe we hug the thighs into the chest to stay. Or we can add a few breaths, inhaling our thighs away from the chest and exhaling our thighs back into the chest and get a little flowing movement through the thighs back and forth as we breathe. Staying on our spine, or maybe finding our body resting on our side in a fetal option that works at the moment. Resting our head in our hands, our upper arms as we travel in our calming, peaceful breaths through one side. Releasing out anything you just don't need today into the ground. Finding just a moment of peace to continue with us through the rest of our day. Letting our inhale send our spine up tall. Finding our bodies peaceful, restful position. Feeling lengthen our spine and rest in our shoulders. As we're ready, maybe our fingertips travel up to the sky as we inhale. Allowing our exhale to slide the thumbs down to the heart. Inhaling, reaching the heart to the sky. Exhaling, thumbs down. And one more breath together. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, releasing. I pray health and strength for all of you as you continue your week. Thank you all for joining me, and have just an awesome Thursday, or whatever day it is for you people online. I don't know.